Good morning, everyone. I'm Nadina Leisner I'm the DSO for Paddlecraft here in 8 Eastern Rivers. Welcome to our online D-Train. I was born and raised in a small town in Houston, Missouri, in the southern centered part of the state where there was a lot of rivers, and I grew up in a canoe, which led to kayaking later in life. My education is a bachelor's in health science. I have associate of applied science and physical therapy, and I'm an ACA level 2 kayak touring instructor. I'm the paddlecraft detachment lead for Flotilla 5-1 in Western Hills, Cincinnati. I've been in the auxiliary since June of 2017. I have held a few positions that are within the flotilla and the paddlecraft lead. I joined to help with paddlecraft safety. Oops, I went one too fast, sorry. So I'm here to talk about OxPad today and what members can do to get OxPad off and running in our district. You do not have to be an ACA qualified instructor. You do not have to be a kayaker. Anyone who teaches boating safety can teach paddlecraft safety. We have two types of OxPad. The first one is ashore, and it can be done by any auxiliary member. This is the area that we need to make the biggest push in because we're going to reach the most paddlers this way. All of the tools we need for you to learn how to do it already exist. And then we have the afloat, which will be coming later, and we'll talk more about as I do one-on-ones with each of the divisions. So today we're going to talk about the ashore part of OxPad. This is the strongest component we have in our toolbox. We'll reach more paddlers on land than we will in the water. The things you can do as a member, if you're not a paddler or are a paddler but don't really want to be in the afloat program, you can do paddlecraft VEs. It's a huge opportunity for education. The VE form provides you a specific checklist to go over with the owner of the vessel. While you're going over that with the owner of the vessel, you could also be recruiting and explaining to them what you're doing. This includes going to livery owners and doing their vessel fleets because they sometimes forget the people they're placing on the river are novices in most cases. It also aids them in knowing whether their equipment is good or bad. And if you're doing a powerboat VE, while you're aboard that and they have a kayak sitting on the deck, go ahead and do that kayak as well and talk a little bit of safety about it. That VE will allow you to reach more people than probably anything else you do other than a PA booth. Program visits. Any member of the auxiliary who is qualified to do program visits can visit paddlecraft retailers, groups who paddle in the area. So you can supply them with pamphlets to hand out when they sell a vessel. They can provide you in exchange with information regarding the local paddlecraft scene and where to go to find the paddlers and the paddling groups. They might even be able to lead you to an ACA instructor who would be interested in being in the program or paddlers who are interested in being in the program. In return, you might find a place to hold your safety classes for paddlers. We have PA booths. You can go to boat shows. Even though it's a powerboat show, you would be amazed at how many powerboaters paddle and how many paddlers are there just to see what's going on. You can hand them safety supplies as well and talk safety with them. Set up PA booths at the local launch sites for paddlers. Again, go back to your vendors. They'll tell you where those are. Go to a police night out or corporation safety days, college, high school safety days, and talk boating safety. All of these are great recruiting opportunities. While you're educating in the power boating safety courses, you can educate powerboaters about the presence of paddlecraft on the water because they don't always know that those people in the paddlecraft out there don't know they can't beat their speedboat across the lake. When you're teaching the paddlecraft safety classes, teach them the rules of the road. They don't know who has the right of way all the time. The last thing you can do is recruit. While doing VEs, program visits, and PA booths, recruit paddlers into your flotilla. We're working on getting the afloat going. There'll be more of that coming on this summer. But in the meantime, you can start expanding your flotilla membership and get people who will go to the vendors and are knowledgeable to talk paddlecraft for you. Anybody in the auxiliary who is an instructor trainer can teach the ACA's official paddle sports safety course. You have to take this course and pass it yourself, be an IT, and then you are able to teach it in agreement with the ACA without being a member. You already teach as an IT, why not add this to your resume in the Coast Guard Auxiliary? The afloat program will be the outreach on the water to talk safety with fellow paddlers. It requires training, the ACA Level 2 kayak touring, and an AQ checkoff. The AQ checkoff is basically the same thing as the QE for the powerboat side. It'll be in conjunction. You'll have to have 2 paddlecraft vessels at minimum, or a combo of 1 paddlecraft and a power vessel going out. That power vessel could be a boat or a jet ski. We're looking for interested members. We're getting AQs qualified. Right now we have 3 ready to go. We just have 1 small paperwork detail that has to be finished. And we're preparing to discuss the logistics of training with the district. We'll be coming back. So tools for members who do not paddle. It's scary to talk about an activity you don't do, but you already boat. You already know safety on the water. All of that still applies to paddlers, just as it does powerboats. We already have the tools in place. You have the stickers that can let paddlers know how much time is wasted when their boat gets away without being identified as who needs to be called. You come across somebody who's not wearing a life jacket. You can give them a pamphlet and educate them that there are different kinds of life jackets. Paddlers tend not to wear life jackets because they go buy a jet ski life jacket or a life jacket intended for a powerboat, and it's not comfortable in a kayak. If they know now, after you've told them, that there are specific paddlecraft life jackets, they're more likely to wear it once they put one on and discover how comfortable they are. We have the 10 paddling tips. These are pamphlets we already have access to through our materials persons. It gives you all the tips you need for talking to a kayaker and telling them what they would need to know while they're out on the water. The reason we want to do this is because the number of paddlecraft on the water exploded last year. With that explosion came an increase in deaths, a lot of novices. Our biggest impact will come from these activities, not being on the water, but on shore, talking to people. It's not scary. It is a program that you can do, and it's not any more difficult than the powerboat outreach. We can make this program successful through proper education. My information will be on the next slide, and I would like to invite you to reach out to me, and we'll set up Zoom meetings, webinars, whatever we need to do for training. I will train an individual, I will train a flotilla or a division, and we will make this happen. Best time to contact me, evenings after 5 p.m. during the week. You can email, text, or voicemail. I respond to text really quickly. My phone number and my email. That's the end of my show. Come join me in getting OxPad off the ground and running so that we can teach paddlecraft safety in this district. Thank you. Next up is Chris Whitaker. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm the DSO Operations, Chris Whitaker. I was born in California. I have a Bachelor of Science in Management of Human Resources, a Master's in Management, and a Master's in Systems Engineering. I do boating and power sailing as well as paddlecraft. It was mentioned a few minutes ago. I do Boy Scouts, and I like playing with trains. Just a few things that are fun to do. It asked how long I've been an auxiliarist, and I've been doing the auxiliary for over 35 years now. I've held a lot of offices, and I got in because my father joined, and he thought it'd be great, and he decided he would ask me to come assist him, so I did. And my biggest goal within the auxiliary, and for part of the reason for joining, was to be of service to other people. So far, while in the auxiliary, I've managed to save a girl, towed over $2 million worth of boats, and of course, have helped a lot of people not have a really bad day. As the district staff officer for operations, my duties are as assigned by the district commodore, which can be things as simple as keeping tracks of the vessels that we have on the water, helping figure out what areas need to be covered by which divisions and which flotillas, figure out how many facilities are out there, just a whole bunch of stuff that has to do with operation of surface vessels. I also have duties that are requested from me by the operations training officer, such as personal protective equipment, issuing and maintenance thereof, and tracking, and other duties in that line. If you wanted to be a DSO operations, or if you want to get into the operations field, you need to work your way up to having a coxswain qualification and be current and stay current. You have to be familiar with both the boat crew and the personal watercraft operator programs, be current in core training, be familiar with both team coordination training and risk management, and be current in them. Be current in whatever operations training needed for your level, be current in navigation rules, and of course, be current in the operations policy. Some of the known problems that we have in our area right now is the new kill switch law for vessels that were made after January 20th and are less than 26 feet long. Keeping all of our people current with their personal protective equipment, being sure it's up to date, well maintained, and in functioning order. Being sure we have proper facility inspections. Sometimes our facility inspectors do an excellent job for what they know, but certain key issues have been left out of their training, so we have to work on that. And then, of course, keeping all of our boat crew participants properly checked off or qualified. How do members fit into our program objectives? Well, without the members, we have no objectives to be done. So our biggest concern, of course, is getting new members in, training them properly, and then keeping them active. Obviously, with COVID last year, we have a little bit of a lag, and we're going to work to improve that this year and get people qualified again, and then get back to moving on down the road or waterways, depending on what you want to look at. Best time to contact me, of course, is whenever you can via email. If you happen to be here and want to talk to me, why I'm try to be as available as humanly possible. And most of our information, just in case you have questions, comes out of the Auxiliary Boat Crew Training Manual. When people don't send forward reports or you don't get them, you need to talk to the person above them. If you're waiting on a report from me, then you just have to contact me. If you're needing information from your division, you can contact me and I will try to pique their interest in getting the answers to you. In summary, this is what I've covered. In closing comments, I'm glad you were able to talk to us this morning, and thank you for listening. And now I will turn it over to Duncan Wilkinson.
It's good afternoon time here in Cincinnati. I'm Duncan Wilkinson. I'm the member training officer for the district, the division, and the flotilla. I didn't do a set of slides because I put the requirement on everybody else, but I didn't do it for me. That's setting a bad leadership example, but things happen. We want to talk about three things, or four things that are applicable. People have worried about their currency maintenance are being current. In the current OX data system, the word current doesn't appear anymore. You're either certified or you're not certified. If you are in the boat crew program or a vessel examiner or a PV person, your performance in 2020 isn't required. If you were REYR at the end of 2019, you will be REYR at the beginning of 2021. If you were current or certified in January of 2000, you will be certified in January of 2021, and that will carry forward to April. You'll still have to do the same requirements to stay certified, just as if it was a normal year. Eventually, we expect that the restrictions will be lifted and you'll be able to visit the stores and go down and do the vessel safety checks. Remember, those of you that do vessel safety checks, there are 2 mission codes, one for paddlecraft and one for, actually there's 3. One for paddlecraft, one for regular boats, and one for facilities. You also want to record your time for those activities. If you remember before, you just didn't have to worry about how long it took you to do it, but you do now. Core training is still adequate. It's still required. You have 5 years to complete all the courses with the exception of ethics, and it is a lifetime. It's good to the end of December. If you don't complete, if this is your year to take the course and you do not take the course, then in January of 2022 rather, you will be declared REYR, and several things will happen. You will be REYR in all the rest of your currencies. You can't get an ID card, and you probably will not be able to use government travel orders. So it's available. You can look at it in Moodle, which is the auxiliary classroom, and you self-sustain in the National Test Center. For those of you that have had all 5 of them, have been current in core training, please don't click the box that says you had Essex, because I get tired of trashing that one. The other thing that expires is for the coxswains and the personal watercraft operators. Their 5th year NAV rules test expires the day after they took it initially 5 years ago. Since that is online, that is doable. Also in the operations program and in other currencies, the risk management TCT refresher is required. It is provided online. You need to contact your, go into the e-directory and look up the TCT facilitators, OX TCT facilitators, and contact them to get your class. C schools are going to start back. There are a couple of them that are going to be conducted at NACON, but the STTR form, which is submitted by your flotilla commander, has been changed. So please don't use the old one, and your flotilla commander is the person who recommends you for going to a C school. They certify that you are qualified to go, and you tell them that you're willing to go and are going to make a commitment to go. And once that you are approved for the course, if you don't go, you will be barred from taking any other C courses for 3 years. Let's go back to core training. There is a 3-star award that's awarded annually for every flotilla that has a 90% of their membership in the core training program. Now, you have to be sort of careful, because if you have members that joined after February of 2019, they must also take the basic qualification course 2 in addition to the core training in order to be core certified. The availability of who is and who isn't is available on the national website, Performance Management, Core Training. Click on the little book, download the file, and every member in 8th Eastern Region is listed, and their current status is shown. If they're red, they're REYR. If they're green, if they have no color, they're good. And if they're yellow, they need to be having the testing. Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to cover. This will conclude the presentation of the district staff officers for this particular D-Train. Thank you very much for listening in, and we invite you to pick up the channel again starting at 7 o'clock. Is that right, Pat? Correct. At 7 o'clock for the awards banquet and all the festivities it'll take care. Please be safe, be careful, and watch out for your neighbor.